Roccat. On the other side, Rise taken away, and they've taken the Thresh. Finally, they take the Thresh away from Vander.
And Roccat is gonna ban away. I was about to say they're gonna first pick Jax, if not ban away. So SK actually decides to ban away the Thresh, ban away the Jax, the two key champions here for both Xaxus and Vander, of course. So I like the change in the bans. Don't ban away Trundle is kind of a pointless ban, but it does mean, however, first pick Nidalee now that is left open once again, and Roccat, just like we saw with the last champ select, saying if you pick Jax, we take Nidalee. This time around, if you ban Jax, fine, we just grab the Nidalee.
On the other side, SK Gaming taking Trundle here very quickly. Elise being hovered over. Svenskeren, of course, played his fair share of Elise. In fact, their last game of the regular season, 3-2-14 against Millennium. He finished on that one, but switches over to Eve, which has actually been his go-to champion in recent weeks.
Yeah, again, as we talked about, the early game pressure you can do, as long as you don't lose your red buff at level 1, do not flash the hook at level 1, and then in the very first fight down the bottom lane, lose it. Because Svenskeren, he fell so far behind early on, he actually ended up going 0-7 in the game because he was so weak after losing the first few fights, after losing the early game so hard to Jankos and Roccat. So this time around, he of course needs to make sure this doesn't happen again, weird enough.
So Roccat seem to be quite happy with what they've got so far. Quick lock-ins there on Lucian for Celaver and Lulu as well for, I want to say for Vander there, because we've got that Nidalee in. But we should never count out Xaxus in the top lane.
We've seen him play before
with Lulu, or I don't want to really say Nidalee to go top lane. That doesn't make that much sense. But we'll still see a possible switch away from the top or support role there for Lulu. On the other side, is Fizz going to come out? Vel'Koz support. We've seen it already. nRated did that in the game, which in the end didn't count against Gambit. We weren't impressed. Too low on the mobility front.
Yeah, very risky pick. I mean, yes, you can bring out quite some damage, but you don't have any mobility, so if you get caught by a stun or something, or by a hook, of course, now banned away, but still, if you get caught by something, some CC, you're a very easy target to kill.
So, Ari and Twitch. Twitch picked up here for Candy Panda, another champion that he played against Millennium in the final game of the regular season. Went 9-2-7 with that one, had a fantastic game. Ari at this point as well, fairly safe pickup against what he's expecting. Yeah,
he's expecting to go against the Nidalee. Yeah. You want to try and do the same thing Overpow did in the last game. Of course, it was an Akali, this now is an Ari. So, Assassin, you want to try and bully out the Nidalee. You want to try and get a kill, force her out of at least XP range or CS range in this laning phase, and try and abuse the fact that Nidalee is fairly weak in the early game, and also that you can roam around the map as well. You can shove out the wave, and then you can start making plays with your jungler on Ari here. So that's obviously the case for SK. They want to try and do the same as Roccat, and with Twitch also being logged in, it gives late game wise or teamfight wise a lot of damage, and also with both Evelynn and Twitch logged in, you can roam around the map in stealth, try and find someone out of position.
Going to see Kale taken away by Roccat. We are. Obviously, nRated playing that in the last game, and Gambit played both matches with that Kale against them as well. But Kha'Zix for Jankos in the jungle. That's a scary champion. If he gets going like he did on Elise, he's going to be even worse in terms of snowballing.
Of course. I mean, and it also shows the Elise pick for Roccat was not the key thing, because it was open. They could have picked it, but decided to go with the Kha'Zix here. So, teamfight-wise, when you have Kale, Kha'Zix, Lulu, it's a very tanky Kha'Zix who's going to jump in your face. It's very hard to kill him, but if you actually look at the lineup here from Roccat, we still don't know exactly who's going to go where. Is it going to be Kale mid, and then Nidalee top lane? It's going to be Nidalee mid lane, Kale top lane, Kale support, or Lulu's bot. We're going to see how they swap around here, but I expect it to be Xaxus top lane on Lulu, Nidalee mid for Overpow, and then of course with the Kale support actually.
Sona support here was the final pickup by SK Gaming. Sona we've been seeing less and less and less of as the season really rocks on. What's your opinion of Sona right now? Well,
actually what I like about the Sona pick here is if it's Lulu support or if it's Kale support, she's going to do well against both. She's going to out-trade them, and she's also going to out-sustain them both. So in a 2v2, if they get this 2v2, Sona's going to be so strong compared to these supports early on, and will be able to give a lot of farm and a lot of pressure on, or give a lot of farm to Candy Panda, and the kill potential at level 6 when you have Twitch and Sona. If you combine the ultimate from Twitch and of course the ultimate from Sona, you have so much instant damage, so much CC as well. So very scary combo from from SK here if they, or once they get the level 6 mark.
And if they get rolling here as well. We saw Svenskeren on Evelyn in the last game. We've seen him on it so many times this season, and always putting up good numbers, but more importantly the numbers always being able to get the rest of his team really rolling, and he tried his best in that last game, came down to that bottom lane, but as you said, you start to fall behind a little bit. It quickly turns into a position where actually if a counter gank scenario happens, you've got no chance to live through it.
No, and Svenskeren and nRated are going to be the engage here against this very mobile composition from Rockat's side. Of course, nRated going to try and land the spears. You have movement speed buffs on Kha'Zix with his own ultimate. You got on Lulu, you got it on to Vander and Kale support here. So a lot of mobility coming in from Roccat.
Well, we're going to find out if SK can turn this one around. We're into game number 2 of the semi-final. And this is a possible last game of this best of 3 as well. If Roccat take this, they'll pick up that 2-0. Pretty much ace the playoffs, at least to the grand final stage, after beating Gambit 2-0 yesterday as well. And of course, it's Fnatic that's waiting in the final for either of these teams later on. Last game at level 1, let's not forget, we saw Roccat doing a 3-man late invade to red buff, which got Svenskeren killed.
And also, of course, gave the red buff over and a big advantage early on to Roccat, and especially Jankos on Elise, who really used it then to snowball from there on. And if you look at SK's side here, they actually picked up double ignite. So they're respecting the heal coming out of nRated, the heal coming out of course, of the Kale, and also the heal onto Celaver as a summoner here. So they want to make sure that once they actually catch out a target, they're going to kill you. They want to just burst you down instantly, make sure the heals does not go through, and heal you back up. Like we actually saw with Fnatic against Alliance when they used this very shield and heal comp.
And thinking back to the Challenger Series playoffs just last week as well, the annoyance that you have of that nRated Kale, the heals coming out, and then the summoner heals on top of that as well. Very, very difficult to burst through, especially when there's a Lulu top lane as well to throw that wild growth in there. Let's see, though, how far this one goes along. SK Gaming is stacking 3 men, make that 4. Svenskeren is there as well on the top side of the map. Jankos will actually spot them coming around here if that does, in fact, happen.
And this is definitely a lane swap Roccat is happy with, because Kale, as we talked about in the last game, fairly weak in the early game against the Zona, who's going to poke us so much. Also with Ignite, the kill potential for Candy Panda and nRated together here, it's going to be very scary. So lane swapping for Rockat's side means they can get some levels onto Vander here. Once he gets level 6, he can actually stop the whole burst coming in from Zona and Twitch if he times his ultimate correctly.
We are going to see a buff steal here early on, and that of course was SK Gaming. Are they going to go for an early dive here onto Lulu? At level 1, level 2, still going to be extremely risky for them. Doesn't look that way. Candy Panda freezing that lane out in the middle. We see that Jankos, after knowing that his blue buff was gone, heading over to the SK Gaming blue buff, will smite that away to keep it safe. So it's going to be a simple trade of the buffs here.
And while, again, for the bottom lanes, it's fine for Roccat with the lane swap, Lulu, of course, is going to have some issues up in the top lane, trying to farm, and she won't be the lane bully we normally see her be, because she won't get this 1v1 from the start where she can do a lot of damage onto Trundle every time he tries to get some CS. So she won't get this because of the lane swap, and Trundle should be able to pick up more farm in a 1v2 and be more safe, be more tanky at least, than the Lulu pick.
At the same time, though, that's going to leave Celaver and Vander in the bottom lane to pretty much free push that one, because Freddy is doing the jungle route here as well, trying to get himself as much XP and farm as he possibly can. And we may just see them teaming up here and doing the whole tower push strategy here at these early levels.
Yeah, they can do a 4-man push. It seems, though, for now, Vander has actually stopped his recall, so he decided not to recall. And they're actually moving 2 members towards this mid lane here, so they want to do a gank onto Jesiz.
This could be very, very dangerous for him. There's the exhaust going down. The jump in from Jankos. Can he get the slow off? Actually, he's going to flash in there. Gets a save. Yeah, Jesiz here is going to fall very, very low. I don't see him being able to escape it. Already used his flash, and there is the damage coming out. It's Jankos that gets the kill again for a 2nd game in a row here to take first blood.
So they decide once again to try and just get an early kill onto Jesiz, gets him to fall behind, like we saw in the last game here. They lost the turret already. They're not even pushing down the bottom lane. They're just waiting around. They don't even care about losing this turret up here.
Celaver and Vander actually keeping this lane frozen, so no faster push there on towards that bottom turret. SK have already taken the outer turret in that top lane and are going to move in here possibly.
well, they can see Candy Panda when he steps under the turret here, but he just wanted to engage.
Oh, flashing in for it there. It's Svenskeren that gets that kill. Freddy coming around the side, and Jankos surely going to fall. This is 4 men going in onto him. It will be a double kill for Svenskeren. Now Vander moving around. Teleport coming in as well. They're low, but it'll still be a 4v2. They can't fight that one. They've kept the turret alive, but losing 2 men.
Yeah, losing 2 members, definitely a big mistake. They stayed around the turret, even though there was the chance of them getting dove by SK Gaming here. So very good move by SK. And now with the turret here and down the bottom lane where Celaver is just freezing the lane, he's not even going to hit the turret. They actually trade first blood onto Jesiz now for turret and 2 kills for SK Gaming. So definitely worth it due to the fact they can get those 2 free kills, I would actually call them.
Much better start this time around for SK, that's for sure. And as we hit the 5-minute mark, they've already got a 1,300 gold lead. Although Roccat, by the time they start getting those towers of their own, and that will start to level itself up a little bit. Jesiz here just going for a bit of a wonder, getting that ward down by the Wraith camp of Roccat. Jankos is actually on the top side of the map right now. So looks like we're going to see the duos heading back together here in this bottom side of the map as Jesiz putting some good damage down onto Overpow. And in the end, it's Vander that comes around to give him that heal. Again, double heal there in that mid lane. That's annoying for Jesiz.
Yeah, but we have to question the idea for Roccat to say, we're going to give you a free turret and we're going to take first blood. I mean, SK's side, it was definitely worth it for them, also with the kills to pick up, and now Vander is in trouble.
That is a face check, and the flash not going to get him far enough away from this one. Svenskeren is going to pick up the kill, and he does get that one to put him on a killing spree now. 3-0-0. Almost the entire opposite of what happened in the first game.
Completely different start here for SK Gaming. They're doing everything right in this early game, and now Jankos in trouble.
Oh, he's going to have to jump away from that one. A lot of damage coming out. Svenskeren doesn't want to go underneath that tower, though. And that will mean that Jankos lives, but it also means that Celaver is on this outer turret here with 3 men starting to close in onto him. Roccat need to get someone there to help. Vander is coming along after face checking and dying earlier on, and actually SK Gaming start to just freeze this lane out a little bit more. Not pushing too aggressively. Svenskeren already leaving.
So with Celaver getting all this free farm and free XP down the bottom lane, he's going to be level 6 fairly soon at least. And he's going to have an XP advantage against Candy Panda, but he's going to be behind in gold simply due to some of the tower gold that Candy Panda got and the assist from the 2 kills they picked up.
Oh, we're going to see them push in for anything down this bottom lane, and nRated just trying to keep them away. Celaver down to half HP, and there is a pause. So, a little bit of thinking time for him. Seems to be something wrong with Jankos. We have the admins there who'll be making sure that all gets sorted here quickly. And certainly a player that you want to have on finest form. We saw how good he was in game number 1. The start not quite working out for him. I mean, he did pick up that first blood, but after that, kills kind of slipping away from Roccat.
Again, the whole idea behind we want to get the first blood in mid lane, and we don't care about pushing. Our dual lane doesn't even push the wave up to the turret, so they can take it. There's 2 members. They decide to actually freeze the bottom lane and just try and deny Freddy all the CS, and then meanwhile they just give up the turret in top. So the whole decision made even though he picked up the first blood, they still fell behind, and now SK Gaming just been taking control of the map, and with some good moves, especially the one where they actually killed Vander, trying to come down to the bottom lane, they just extended the lead a little bit.
So Jankos seems to be getting back into the game, so we'll be able to restart this one here in just a couple of moments. We're 6 minutes 50 into it, and a 2,000 gold lead for SK Gaming. Very much the start that they were looking forward to. Whatever they talked about in between game 1 and 2 seems to have paid off for them.
Yeah, and we're also, again, going all the way back to Champ Select, banning out the Thresh, of course, for Vander, and making sure there's no Jax in the game either. Very smart decision, and we need to see if Roccat can actually adapt to this now.
Well, SK start to pile those minions up against the Roccat turret, and Vander just helping out Celaver here to make sure he can pick up that farm as he goes. 55 to 38 CS, and that's simply because Celaver had that extra time down there in that bottom lane. He's hit level 6 here, going to throw out the Culling straight away. A lot of damage coming to nRated, but, well, the Culling at level 6 with no items in there, not really doing masses of damage.
Looking at the pings from SK and also the wards. Triple ward in the jungle of Roccat so early on. They got full vision of anything Jankos is doing, and that's why Svenskeren feels confident just moving straight in here, going for the red buff whenever it actually spawns. And with this vision control, if SK moves in with the duel and if they push it all the way up here, force Vander, Celaver to back, they can just walk in with Svenskeren and find easy picks.
Red buff from Rockat's side actually spawns really late because Jankos had to move from his blue to the enemy blue and then all the way back to red. So Svenskeren's not going to get anything there for a while. Blue buff being done. Svenskeren's actually coming down towards his bottom lane. It's going to be a 3 versus 2. Vander being ripped to pieces, and Celaver, he's going to fall to the same. It's a double kill for nRated on Sona.
So while he didn't get a red buff, he still got to walk all the way down and just dive onto Rockat's dual lane here in the bottom lane. So again, the free farm onto Celaver has done absolutely nothing. The very strong movements here from SK, not being afraid to dive onto Roccat, really paying off.
And they may get themselves a turret here as Jesiz, waiting over the wall from Overpow, decides not to go in. They've got vision of Jankos. This could actually be really, really dangerous for Roccat as the spears come flying through. nRated at half HP. They're going to pull out this red buff, and Svenskeren tries to steal that one away, bringing it all the way around the back, and Svenskeren will smite that one off. He's getting himself another buff. So that's 2 buffs stolen overall in this game for SK, and they are now 3,000 gold in the lead. So slowly but surely that gold lead getting bigger in their favor.
So just like Roccat in the last game, when they got hit early on, they kept going, they kept putting on the pressure. SK Gaming is doing the exact same thing in this game. Whenever they see a chance of getting some kills, getting a red buff, whatever, get the Wraith camp away from Roccat, they go in there and they take it, making sure they don't give Roccat any chance of a comeback.
So far, game similar to the first one in terms of the amount of kills that we've seen, but in completely the opposite direction. SK Gaming turning this one around, and that's always great to see that, you know, sometimes teams in a best of 3, they'll lose the first game incredibly heavily like that, and they'll just cripple themselves and, you know, almost roll over without a fight in game 2. SK Gaming obviously not going to go that way and are doing very, very well here. Need to pick up this win and bring us level, otherwise they will be getting knocked down. And Xaxus now could be in trouble. We see Svenskeren stealthing in for this one. Should be pretty obvious. Freddy going to go towards him. Wild Growth will be used here by Xaxus. And actually he's turning around the damage. Svenskeren going to start to fall low from that one. Not quite low enough to really be in danger, but he could be now as Overpow headed to the top, but turning around.
Freddy was completely so he out of mana, so he couldn't join in for the fight here. He couldn't even put up his pillar, I believe. So Xaxus was just pop his own ultimate, turn around, get some good damage onto Svenskeren here, forcing him to go back to base. So at least now, Roccat, they know where Svenskeren is, they know there's no pressure on him, at least for the next 30 seconds.
30 seconds, but down in the bottom, both duo lanes are headed up against one another, and Candy Panda with a BF sword now on top of his Vamp Scepter will take down turret number 2 here for SK Gaming, and now it's 4,000 gold. Every time I look, there's an extra 1,000 piled on top here in favor of SK. Celaver still ahead in CS actually from that bottom lane. If you look in the mid lane, it's Jesiz that's got a 20 CS lead over Overpow, and getting to that point where you have to start fearing the Ari, because one charm is going to be possibly not 100% at this stage of things, but certainly a lot of damage that'll force you out of lane. SK Gaming, complete vision control on this bottom side of the map, going to take themselves a dragon, nothing that Roccat can do.
And Roccat needed to gank this bottom lane if they wanted to give their own dual lane a chance to do anything, because the issue with Sona was always the fact that you're so immobile. I mean, you're so easy to gank. There's nothing, if Panda, for instance, drops down in your face or Kha'Zix jumps onto you, there's nothing you can do. And whoa, Freddy flashing the wall here. Xaxus decides to back off, nothing happens from it, just forcing away the flash and the ultimate. But still, this Sona pick here, as long as nRated is left with Candy Panda to 2v2 against Celaver and Vander, there's nothing they can do. Sona is very, very strong in these 2v2s. She needs to be ganked. She needs to be shut down by Jankos coming down and setting something up and just kill her.
And level 6 now, which means the crescendo is available for nRated, and that's going to mean a little bit of trouble as the charm just been sidestepped by Overpow. They didn't quite have the damage to finish off that final outer turret. Both top and bottom lane already been taken, and Svenskeren now going to come into the jungle. Jankos is here. Can he do enough damage to him? Half HP stripped away there. There's the ultimate pop from Jankos to try and get him out. Spear will land onto Svenskeren. They're going to try and turn this one around. That was a good ultimate to get the group slow off, and Svenskeren can walk out.
So he walks out here again. He used the ultimate, used the flash, just like Freddy up in the top lane, just a few, like half a minute ago. So Roccat doing a very good job now, going very aggressive onto Candy Panda.
Oh, Candy Panda though gets into stealth. Celaver going to wait for that one, and this is going to be outplayed. Oh, fail flash! Candy Panda goes down.
So again, actually, Roccat managed to force away both summoners from another member from SK. So they're doing a very good job finding the right targets, finding the picks here, and making sure SK Gaming, even though they're so far ahead, actually need to use summoners to either escape or flash into the wall.
Svenskeren coming back onto the top side of his map, and that's Roccat just sitting back from that one. That's a welcome kill for them. Actually, Xaxus is now 1-1-0 with that blasting one double Doran's ring on the other side. Front with his Vamp Scepter also got himself a Spectre's Cowl in there, so a bit of protection, bit of sustain and more damage.
But SK at this point can just take 4 members in the mid lane and just start pushing down the turret. If Roccat tries to engage, you got the Sonar ultimate and the Spray and Pray with a Bloodthirster Twitch, who's just gonna completely destroy you. So even though this outer turret now is gone, they can actually push on for the next one with these 4 members because they are so strong. They do decide, however, to actually send Panda down to the bottom lane because he's a little bit behind in farm. They want to make sure he can get the farm here early on, and they don't actually feel they need to push just yet.
Farm him up, and he's got 5 assists at this point. He's probably wishing that he's had at least a couple of kills in there to his name, but still doing very, very well. And with these couple of waves, we'll be catching right back up in the farm. We'll have a look down some of the other items. A big one there for Nidalee. DFG is going to be picked up there as we get another pause. Looks like it's Vander this time around.
So DFG is the first item. Simply means whenever we actually get a team fight or if we get a pick, Jesiz is going to do so much burst damage. If he lands the charms, combine that with the DFG, you have so much extra damage you put onto them and he can just blow someone up because he's so far ahead also. Farming really well here in the mid lane. So all of a sudden now SK Gaming, completely opposite of the last game. If they now find the right team fight or find a pick, they will just blow them up like Roccat did in the last game to them.
Interested to see what the targets will be here for Jesiz with Intervention and Wild Growth can both go on a single target or onto different targets there. So Jesiz really going to have to pick his targets or pick his battles very, very wisely as to who he goes for.
That can be the downside about picking this DFG so early because, of course, with the single target defensive stuff on Rockat's side, it can actually completely destroy his use of DFG. But I actually believe it's more so for general just trying to pick up people or pick a target. Not in a team fight, but if they find someone in the jungle, if they find Jankos, if they find Overpow overextending or something, go towards them and get the kill. Not exactly for the team fight itself.
Well, we are going to be getting Vander back into the game here shortly, and we'll be able to start things back off. Of course, it is a decent lead here, 5,000 gold, in fact, for SK Gaming, and we are 13 minutes, 40 seconds into it as Overpow spotted here by nRated, who's trying to harass him away from picking up that ward kill. Didn't quite work out the way that he expected. So, and what I'm interested in now is Roccat. Once they got ahead in that last game, they got some good deep wards down. They moved around the map really quickly and never gave SK the chance to come back. I'm interested to see whether SK could do a similar thing as Celaver face check straight into the brush there. Ultimate was it used? No, it was on cooldown actually. But that will come up if Celaver decides he wants to go back into it. Actually, Svenskeren here could be in some danger. Going to get slowed down by Jankos. That's a lot of target damage as we see the ultimate being thrown through. And there's a shutdown. Panda running the... He's going to go down as well. Jankos here burning. And he's popped his ultimate. It's just enough damage to get the kill.
So, SK Gaming now are trying to just split out on the map and just split push in all the lanes here. Jesiz in the mid lane, Fredo on the top lane, and then with Panda in the bottom lane. And then you have this stealth Evelyn just roaming around the lanes trying to find targets. This time it actually backfired for them because Jankos was nearby and because Celaver as well with his good dash, he actually got away from Svenskeren at first and then could turn it around when Svenskeren decided to stay, just wanted to peek a little bit more.
Roccat edging a bit of gold back in their favor. Let's see if they can keep that train running. Freddy, by the way, he's doing a fantastic job of farming up right now. 107 to 83 CS. That's a nice lead that he's got himself over Xaxus. As this turret, will it get pushed down? They've yet to pick up a turret kill here, and if you look through those outer turrets, all of them are still pretty healthy. They've not really done much in terms of pushing down those objectives.
No, I mean, that's what happens when you fall so far behind, and Jankos now going very aggressive top.
We have the slowdown, a good pillar from Freddy there will stop Lulu chasing in. Did use the subjugate, which stopped the further chase around. Now it's Jesiz. Is he going to go for Overpow? He's landed the charm. He is going to throw everything at him. You've got a DFG. I'm not sure why he's not using it.
Well, still, with the exhaust from Overpow, he would be able to survive it. So good use of exhaust from Overpow, of course, with 2 of them on the team, Jesiz and Candy Panda in the team fights when he's using his spray and pray are gonna be the targets here to shut them down. Now Jankos again going in.
Oh, and he's gonna fall surely with both Overpow and Jankos moving in there. There is the kill. Freddy comes around. Svenskeren is there as well. Roccat aren't gonna know that until he's right on top of them. Freddy down to half HP. There's the intervention, and here comes the rest of Roccat. Have they got the damage? They've got the exhaust on Svenskeren. He's just dodged away there from the slow of those void spikes. In the end, SK don't lose anyone else. Couldn't pick up any kills, and now nRated moving in. Celaver putting down a good ultimate. Svenskeren so incredibly low. nRated moving from the side. It's a 4-man slow. Wild Growth will knock them all up. Spray and pray comes from the back. The crescendo as well. The spear doesn't finish off nRated. And in the end, so very low on both sides of things. It's SK that get the kill.
In the end, they actually end up trading 1-for-1 here, but SK Gaming, they were so far ahead and they decided we're just gonna continue to split push. We want to force Roccat then in some bad fights, but instead it's Roccat all the time actually winning out. Jankos is the guy moving between the lanes, picking up kills left and right here for Roccat, so they actually get some kills, get back in the game. They're still far behind. That we need to say it, of course, they are still far behind, and SK clearly though don't feel confident enough to actually go down and start sieging a turret. Also because of the fact with Twitch, it can be a little bit risky because you're very immobile. When you hit the turret, it's very scary. And wow, spear onto Jesiz.
A lot of damage onto Vander though, and actually uses DFG this time. Celaver coming in from the side, spears flashing through as well. Jankos dives into the middle, but again, they don't feel like they've got the damage as that spear was wide of its target, but they want Dragon here. This is another big chunk of gold in the right direction for Roccat if they can finish it off. SKR kind of hovering around. Let's go put some ward in, but it's going to be too late to get in there. Good Dragon pickup for Roccat.
Yeah, with Candy Panda up in the top lane, Roccat, even though Vander was very low on HP, still went in for this one. Of course, remember the ultimate of kill because no mana, so you could still use the ultimate and then just try and back out of the fight. But yeah, with Candy Panda again split pushing away from the rest of the team, Roccat picks up a Dragon.
Celaver, is he going to get the first turret of the game for Roccat? Actually, they need to be careful that they don't lose this inner turret in the top lane. There are 3 men there for SK Gaming. I think that 4 now as Sona comes around and Roccat do get their first tower of the game down on that bottom side. Xaxus trying to slow everyone down. Vander and Jankos and Overpow now moving in. Can they actually close them off here? Who will be the target for them as the spear comes through, lands onto nRated? That's surely the signal to go for this one. Celaver is actually pushing the inner turret. He's going to take that one down. The entire team of SK are here. They could either fight 5v4 or try and recall, but Roccat are doing such a great job here of actually stopping them from recalling. How are they going to get back in time? They've lost the inner turret. Celaver's finally turned around. Brilliant play from Roccat.
Roccat is honestly outplaying SK Gaming on the map. They take the Dragon, and then SK say to themselves, we need to go top lane now because Candy Panda is pushing a big wave. We need this turret, so they move all 5 members all the way to the top lane. But I forget about the fact that Roccat was at the Dragon, and it was just so easy for Celaver to just step down to the bottom lane and just start pushing up, and nobody was there to actually defend. Xaxus, though, taking a lot of damage.
Taking a lot of damage. Forced to flash, used his Wild Growth on himself there. In the end, not enough damage from Candy Panda to secure himself that kill. So let's take a look at the gold again. Down to just 2,000. Roccat certainly going in the right direction, or SK going in the wrong direction, you could maybe argue.
Yeah, I will definitely say good job by Roccat coming back into this game, but it's also SK Gaming not exactly knowing what to do on the map. When they had the chances to find a good fights, they went over aggressive or didn't actually do anything. When they had the chance to just go down and find a pick and then take a turret, they didn't do it. And now when they actually wanted to take a turret, they went to all the way to the opposite side of the map, while Roccat was just standing with 1 member in your bottom lane and taking 2 turrets. So SK need to just clear their mind now and actually think, what do we want to do with this comp? Do we want to continue to split push and try and find targets with Evelyn and maybe Candy Panda roaming around? Or do we actually want to start grouping up and try and team fight because we still feel we are far ahead?
Surely with the composition they've got, it's got to be team fight. It's got to be pile in.
It can be both.
Crescendo. If Roccat start to push them back onto the towers, with Overpow now starting to get stronger and stronger, that's not a position you want to be in defending against those nRated spears.
No, again, so with the DFG and the Jesiz, it was clear he want to find picks. He doesn't want to go straight for a team fight because the intervention, because the Lulu ultimate can counterweight his DFG. So it showed at least we want to find picks. And that's the comp is very good for this from SK's side, of course. With double stealth, with Trundle split pushing, nobody can actually 1v1 him at the moment. He can just push out the wave and then back off, and with teleport he can always join in. So split pushing is definitely an option for them. They just need to make sure whenever Jankos actually comes in to fight, that they don't die to him, because that's been the issue again. He joins into the fight and they're being caught out of position by Jankos.
Got himself up to 3-2-1 now. You see that Panda again off on his own, and we mentioned that a little bit earlier on. He was behind in CS, he remains behind in CS, and quite the distance as well. 206 to 170 CS. Celaver certainly doing a great job on that front. The gold does still remain at about 2,000, the difference in favor of SK Gaming. They've had pretty much the dream start to this one, aside from that first blood, of course, that went Jankos' way. Everything else went probably better than planned, considering everything that happened in game number 1. But Roccat not letting go of this game just yet. They want to win this 1-2 like they did against Gambit yesterday.
What we need to remember, though, SK Gaming just need one kill in one of these side lanes and they can push it all the way down to a turret, and all the other lanes can start pushing all the way down to another turret. So while they've been losing for the last few minutes, they still have a very good chance of just finding a kill in this split push, with Svenskeren once again staying around where Panda is to see if something happens, get the kill and turn around. So they still got very good chances.
If Roccat go alone here, well, Vander is kind of proving me wrong on that one as he throws out that ward, but they've been sticking generally at least in a pack of 2. You can see they've got that pink ward on the top side to make sure that they've got full vision control of that area. Both Jesiz and nRated just pushing this middle wave up once again. Look down some of the items here. The Rabadon's Death Cap now added in on top of the Athene's Unholy Grail for Overpow. And we can see that the Lich Bane almost finished there for Xaxus as well.
And Overpow got really past the point where Nidalee is weak. Of course, he got to the Death Cap point now. He's wave clear. As long as he jumps into cat form, he's now also very strong. If he can actually get into the minions without SK going towards him. So the whole point where the SK could have used the fact that Nidalee wave clear is very weak is now somewhat gone, and also with the fact that Celaver is joining in with him, they can just clear together.
Panda here waiting around the side though. Will be able to get through. Stealthing up there. They start to clear out that ward. Void Spikes will stop any advancement. Only 30 seconds until the next dragon of the game comes up. Svenskeren has already scouted that one out here. Scouting for more ward takedowns. So 2 invisible champions headed towards the dragon area. Not easy for Roccat to really weed out.
A few things to look for in the fight. First of all, the DFG from Jesiz. Will he use it on the target where Vander managed to put the intervention on, so it removes all the damage here? And also we need to look for the combination with nRated, his ultimate, and then spray and pray from Panda. If he can stand in the backs of the fight, ultimate landing down from nRated, he can hit multiple people. SK Gaming will destroy Roccat in the fight. So let's see how they can play these key champions and key things in the fight for SK's side. And of course Roccat needs to be very careful they don't get caught by a Sonar Stun.
Dragon is up. Roccat and SK have 3 men in the middle lane, just holding on to position in there. Trundle, of course, did take down that turret in the top lane, the inner turret, but now Freddy might find himself in a little bit of bother. He's going to throw down the pillar. Overpow basically right on top of him there. Freddy using the flash. There's the knock-up from the Wild Growth as well, and whilst Freddy trying to put some damage back here, is only going to buy some time for his team down by the Dragon, which they do take. That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you very much to Vishio. They take the Dragon, losing the kill for it.
So Roccat actually decided to give up the Dragon, just picking up a kill, because they didn't feel like they can actually fight in this position. They don't feel like their comp is strong enough to fight against this again with Twitch and Zona together. It's such a strong comp from SK Gaming. So give up the Dragon and instead just pick up a kill.
If we look at the gold lead, 3,500 SK have brought it back to, so swinging a little bit on that front, and just of course I'm talking about it, the turret in the top lane does go down, so that's all outer turrets now done. I know that's a lie because middle's still standing. 3 of them have gone, you know what I'm talking about.
Still though, Celaver pushing up here, getting good damage on the Svenskeren, and a few hits onto the turret. Lucian, of course, very good at just coming up, get a few hits with his passive, with the double auto attack, and then backing away from the turret, slowly grinding them down here. Rocket's side though, what it actually decided to do in this mid-game point now, coming in towards the late game, because it is so scary for them to actually group up against all this damage from SK's side. And if someone gets caught by a charm, for instance, it's the go time for SK Gaming. So a bit scary for Roccat to actually do the side and group up here. So we need to see what they're going to do.
Well, currently they're going to go home and spend a little bit of that gold that they've been farming up so nicely. Almost a rando in Zoman is done there for Jankos, so he's going to be feeling a lot more confident about jumping in there and trying to finish off these kills. And now he gets a little bit tankier. Xaxus returning back to his top lane, still about 30 CS behind that of Freddy, but he's got that Lich Bane now done, along with a blasting one as well, which means he's going to be doing a bit more damage, not necessarily to Freddy because he is already pretty damn strong, although Ravenous Hydra, so not as tanky as he could be at this stage.
It was very scary in this split push, and whoa, they're actually jumping onto him.
They're going to go on towards Freddy. We'll see if that Ravenous Hydra is going to cause him problems as Panda actually puts down this spray and pray, but he's got the damage reduction of that exhaust as Jankos flashes into Baron Pit. That was nicely done there for him while he was in stealth mode. In the end, nobody dying.
What a great use of spray and pray here for Panda. Actually, 3 members from Roccat were lined up here, so he hit every single one on every single hit. So they needed to back away, and Panda now on Twitch, he will scale into late game, into the team fights, and become very, very scary.
He does in fact have the Phantom Dancer on top of his Bloodthirsty hero. Another couple of items coming out as well for Jesiz, Void Staff done along with a blasting one, so he's going to have a bit more damage about him if he finds anyone. If a charm lands, and I have to also add in there, and Kale's not there.
Yep.
Then that person is going to go down. We'll see about that one as Panda going to ambush Celaver. Has he got the damage to finish him off? He does now. Actually, his teammate comes in. Celaver gets the kill, though. 2 versus 1. Celaver takes one with him.
So they actually trade 1-for-1 here, but we see the power of Twitch and Evelyn together when they stealth in here, trying to find a target when they're just standing there and farming. So they did get a pick, but Panda went down with it. So beautiful play by Celaver.
3,000 gold still is that lead that SK are holding, and interesting to see that's not really getting any bigger for them, that they've not really been able to force any objectives for quite a while now.
And I'm a little bit surprised there's no Blade of the Ruined King onto Panda. We often see there's an early item when you want to do these split push, you want to do these ganks with Twitch, because of course it makes you a lot stronger 1v1. You would actually been able to survive the last fight with a Blade of the Ruined King. So a little bit surprised when we at least see the rest of SK build towards split pushing and catching out targets.
Well, he's got a last whisper now put in there.
It's better for team fights, of course. Very strong for team fights here.
We'll see if they can get to that point. Roccat certainly don't want a team fight at this stage. They've made that one very, very clear here. Not really grouping up, not really daring to push. We've got a Dragon coming up in 2 minutes. Last one went over to SK Gaming. We'll see if they can do it here again. Or did he go to Roccat? He went to Roccat.
He went to SK because Roccat went up in top lane and killed Xaxus because he didn't want to fight against SK. So went to SK and just staying around this mid lane. Both Jesiz and nRated have been in this mid lane for a long time, just clearing away, making sure if something happens, they can always rotate very fast towards the side lanes, of course, with the speed buff from Zona and all the jumps from Jesiz. He can actually get down to the bottom lane or the top lane very, very fast if something should happen.
So a question, we've seen this almost, if you look at the minimap, this could have happened, this could have been the scenario 10 minutes ago.
Yep.
What are they waiting for here from either side?
Well, SK is waiting to do actually what they did before without Panda dying. Had he killed Celaver with Svenskeren, now Freddy taking some damage here, Xaxus actually going to back off, but had he killed Celaver with Svenskeren, they would have pushed up the bottom lane. Then the mid lane would have been pushed down by Jesiz and nRated. Then the top lane would have been pushed down by Freddy, and they could apply pressure and get a turret in one of the lanes because Roccat would have to rotate around to defend the bottom lane. And that's basically what they're waiting for. And Roccat, they're just in a position where they don't feel they can actually teamfight against SK because they are behind. So they're just waiting for SK to actually make a mistake and then hope they can get a kill like they've been doing earlier in this game.
It's a battle of nerves. Who's going to make the first mistake from this one? Dragon, an area where certainly mistakes can and have been made in the past. That's coming up in 30 seconds time here. SK already in prime position for that one. Don't believe Roccat are even going to challenge for it.
Definitely not in a position to do it yet. Jankos just doing the blue buff, very far away. Lulu is returning up to the top lane. Yes, of course, there's teleport, he can join in, but where's he gonna teleport to? There's no wards, no vision. So, free Dragon again from SK. Roccat really showing they don't want a team fight at all.
They don't want an anything fight, actually.
Nope. And it's scary because, again, Twitch late game very, very strong. Trundle late game is such a mega tank, taking some tanky stats away from Jankos, for instance. So, while he got the 50% damage reduction, they're gonna be squishier and making Freddy even stronger. Of course, you can say Roccat in the late game are just looking to poke and then kite away and then land a few spears, and whenever someone drops low, they can actually go in and just instant kill them with Jankos jumping in, get the kills. So, but in their case, they don't mind waiting because they don't feel they can do anything else.
Xaxus just drawing a couple of men towards this top lane. He, by the way, has now that death cap in there with a Lich Bane. So you have to watch out for him. Can't leave him alone in that lane too long. Otherwise, he's going to be taking away towers. But he was, again, just a little bit scared of hanging around there too long and getting caught out. Because as you mentioned before, that's exactly what SK Gaming are looking for to get this game rolling. Also,
Roccat, they know that SK don't want to just siege up because of Twitch, where it's very hard to actually get in to hit the turrets. Due to, again, once you're standing there hitting the turrets, and if they engage onto you, you're not going to get out. So they know SK is looking for this pick, and as long as they don't give up a free kill, they feel they can just continue farming. It's just a matter of time, though, before SK decides to push up the lanes and actually go towards the Baron, ward it up, and force Roccat to team fight. Or should be a matter of time.
I was waiting for that little disclaimer there at the end. But again, Roccat pushing up. Trying to keep a hold of that vision on Baron as well. That's the important thing for him here, because that's, as you said, the area where SK can really start to force their hand somewhat and say you have to come out, otherwise we could be doing that Baron from right under your nose. nRated, as you'd expect, with that in mind, is clearing out wards wherever he can. They've got 3 sweeper lenses at the moment, so I should be able to do a good job of that one. But credit to Roccat, they're still holding good vision over by the Baron pit.
Well, again, SK is not exactly doing anything to clear around this Baron here, so there's no pink wards for them. Only been in there once. I don't even think they used the sweeping lens, just backed out again. So for now, Roccat keeping the vision, and they actually decide to group here in this mid lane, trying to land down some good poke.
The thing is, it's dangerous. If this Nidalee Spear plus, you know, Lucian ability and then 2 auto attacks actually land, we saw there.
That's a lot of damage.
It's a lot of damage, and that might be the signal for Roccat at least briefly to start pushing out a little bit, get some damage off onto those turrets. The middle turret, of course, is the only outer turret left remaining in this game for SK. Bottom lane's already had the inner turret taken away thanks to Celaver's counter push a little bit earlier on in the matchup. And Roccat now, they've had a change in mind, I think. They start to push up past the halfway point.
Look here what the difference is. 2 pink wards in the side bushes of the mid lane. So they can actually spot Svenskeren or Candy Panda if they try to sneak around them here. And of course, one of the engage options for SK is Svenskeren coming around, planting his ultimate, and then Freddy teleporting in, starting the whole fight. So the land is slow, and then nRated can flash and stun them, and boom. Spray and Pray is going to go mental.
Candy Panda, though, is going to show himself in the top lane, and look at that. Roccat just dives straight in. The Culling comes through! Last bullet actually catching nRated. This is the tower going down. Freddy's pushing bottom, but he's not going to be able... Oh, is he going to take the tower? Yes, he did take that one, but Xaxus actually going to stop him here. There is the teleport, where it's Wild Growth on himself to stop the teleport coming in. He was like, I'm going to win him. Oh, wait a minute. I can't actually do anything about it right now. Svenskeren, you're going to get jumped on. Don't think there's a kill there, though. Jankos decides to back away.
So as you just said, the second they spot Candy Panda open in top lane, they start moving to the turret, land the poke, and actually get a kill and a turret. So good play by Roccat.
Xaxus and Freddy going to have a bit of a fight. That Ravenous Hydra is going to do ridiculous damage to Xaxus. Look at that. He goes low, but he's just spotted that Celaver's coming around as well and decides, I should probably get out of here. Can't fight the 2 of them. Freddy stays alive. So, have a look at the gold. Surprise, surprise. 3,000. Been that way for quite a while.
Well, with the mid turret gone, at least for Roccat, they can push a bit further up, but it does also mean for them they actually need to get the pink wards moved up and notch into the jungle of SK if they want to push for the next turret, because again, they want to avoid being flanked around by Svenskeren and then teleport coming in from Freddy to start the whole thing. So they need to take the pink wards they had before, move them a bit further up if they want to start pushing up and actually trying to land some poke.
So, Candy again. Gonna show himself on this top side of the map. That'll make them feel a little bit more comfortable about knowing exactly where the rat is. We did just see Jankos get himself a ward down there as well, which SK won't hesitate to try and take away. We've seen a couple of different items coming out now. Svenskeren got a Thorn Mail. Also, the Random Interment was finished off by Freddy.
So I think the front line from SK Gaming is very, very tanky. If they get onto Celaver, it's going to be hard for him to kill them. And at the same time, Twitch should be fairly safe in the back line, because it's actually only Jankos who can jump in towards him, and with, you know, Candy Panda with the protection from Sona with the ultimate, of course, with Jesiz being around him also to help out, it's going to be hard for Roccat to actually kill him. So he should feel fairly safe to do all the damage, and it's another advantage for SK in a team fight.
I saw Candy Panda and have dealt with him thanks to Overpow in there. Actually, no wards there for SK Gaming. That's slightly worrying from their side, but will spot Vander moving around the side. Svenskeren just waiting here. nRated takes away the wall. That's not the position you want to be in. And Jesiz can jump that wall and be straight in your face before you know it. And now, SK moving forward. They want to gain that vision control back here over the Baron pit. They spot out Svenskeren trying to move in there. The rest of Roccat team is actually coming across.
And they need to try and force Xaxus to teleport in here because there's no teleporting Freddy, so he has to join the team and try and set something up. Otherwise, Xaxus is going to push all the way up to the turret.
Good damage actually coming out there, and again, SK fell prey to this one. This is how they lost their inner turret before. They were held in position by Roccat, who chased them and stopped them from recalling. This time around though, Panda was able to get into his jungle, and he's going to retreat to keep that inhibitor tower safe.
And their Baron potential for Roccat, the damage is not amazing onto Baron here, but they're starting it anyway because Panda was in the bottom lane, but they should abandon this one when the rest of SK joins in.
Yes, I think abort mission is something that's going to be called for this one. Svenskeren thinking about going in there, possibly. Jankos actually stepping forward, spots out Svenskeren, so they've got vision of the Evelyn. That's a time where you really want to think of moving in, but they don't see Panda. He's not actually there, but they don't know that.
And the only engage from Roccat would be Jankos popping his ultimate, jumping into the face of SK, and then popping the wild growth from Xaxus onto him, so you can knock a few members up. It's not ideal engage, that's why they need to start the Baron to force SK to actually do something.
Well, they have started off once
again. Culling on it.
Culling is going to go in. That's a lot of damage, but look at Freddy. He's going to try and stop them, but I tell you what, he needs to get away. Forced to use the flash. They've taken out Overpow. Xaxus is dead as well. A strange fight as Spray and Pray comes over. There's Jesiz catching the charm onto Jankos. He's got his ultimate running now. We'll have to flash over the back of that blue wall. And Roccat disastrously split up in that fight, lose 2 men.
So, you have a worst team fight combination. You have a worst team fight composition, and you're behind. And then you start the Baron when the entire SK team is around, and then you split up as well. So you couldn't even intervention on any one of the first targets SK went for. So very easy Baron, and I would actually say very easy team fight for SK. They just Roccat didn't exactly know what to do.
Well, we'll see what SK actually do with this one. We're going to have a look at that fight again.
Yeah. So look here.
Everyone going straight for
it. Overpow is here, all by himself, by the way. The rest of Roccat is up here in the top. Xaxus tries to join in, only to die, and now Jankos died too. People are just dying everywhere.
Dying, and speaking of dying, Celaver might find himself falling here as well. Intervention's just about to come off of cooldown. Doesn't need to use it in the end though. Celaver is flash instead to get back to the safety of his teammate. So that leaves us at 11-8. That Dragon, we didn't quite spot, but he did go over to SK Gaming.
Yeah, Dragon and another kill here, and it means they can just start pushing down. Freddy, teleport, is in the top lane, he can always join in, push down 2 lanes here, and Roccat, well, they technically need to engage onto SK, but they don't have any engage, so it's going to be fairly easy for SK to just push down these turrets.
Well, that's the first. We'll see how many with this Baron. 6-4 they lead in turret kills right now, and they start to move in, nearly trying to snipe them from the side there. That seems to be enough for Roccat to force SK to back away, but that may just be a lane change right now. Freddy pushing down the top, and no, SK are actually going to recall him. Imagine they've got
a lot of gold.
Amount of gold to spend here after that. Yeah, wow, 3,800 gold for Panda.
Yeah, so that's why they didn't actually want to continue pushing, because picked up won the team fight, picked up the Baron, then the Dragon, so they collected a lot of gold now. Guardian Angel picked up, and a BF Sword more for Panda now, so his damage is just insane.
That's quite a good set of items in Banshee's Veil, Sona, Zhonya's Hourglass Ferrari, Guardian Angel for Panda on Twitch, as you mentioned, with a BF Sword as well added in there extra. So not the ideal scenario for Roccat. They still are behind here. It's getting closer to a 10,000 gold lead. 11-8 in kills, 6-4 in turrets. SK Gaming with that Baron buff on. Taking down 1 tower here, but they don't seem to be in any rush of going for any more.
They don't have to, as we talked about so many times. Like, the team fight potential of this team going into late game as well is just, it's fantastic. So they don't need to rush down for anything. Now they're so far ahead, all of a sudden they're now almost 10k gold ahead again. Like, they were never 10k gold ahead, but they were far ahead early on, and now they got the lead again and can start pushing up.
And there's no one really to defend this one. Celaver is going to try and push them back from this. have that Banshee's Veil on, but we can see the turret's falling far too fast. Freddy's a tanky beast. You don't want to fight Svenskeren. He's got himself that 4 mail on and a Guardian Angel now as well. And that will be turret number 7, the first inhib turret to go down in this game so far.
And with this inhibitor turret gone, they can obviously push in here and they can force Roccat to either back away from inhibitor or try and go in for the fight. So let's see. Look for Jankos to try and stealth up and jump into the face of them with the ultimate from Xaxus if they want to engage.
Big spear onto Candy Panda, but he's got a Guardian Angel and he's got a lifesteal. Panda goes down, didn't use his intervention. That could be the end of the game here if Candy Panda and SK play this one right. Jesiz trying to get in on towards Jankos. Inhib's going down. I don't see a reason why SK really need to turn around from this one. Candy Panda's just going to be able to lifesteal himself back up. Spray and pray doing good damage there. Uses that expunge as well, and you see his health just rising massively every second. And look at that bottom lane. Perfect timing. A massive wave of minions coming in to help them finish off the inhibitor.
And Van is still dead for 25 seconds. There's still ultimate onto nRated, still ultimate onto Freddy and Svenskeren, so they can easily fight this one in case Roccat tries something.
So going into it then, that's where it focused by Candy Panda. Freddy bites, also doing masses of damage to those buildings as well. You can see that they don't last very long whatsoever. So 2 inhibitors down now in favor of SK Gaming. They're going to turn and burn though. That top lane is pushed all the way back to the halfway point, but again, they've just taken down so much. They're going to have another ton of gold to spend. 1,200 on 3 people in the team. That means more items when they come back for the 3rd and final inhib.
Then they can just go straight towards this top lane here. They can even put Freddy in a different lane to push up with the super minions going in towards the Nexus turret. He can always join in with teleport. Or they can say, we don't even need to do this anymore. We can just go 5 members and push down here. And Rocket's response, try and land a spear in our face and then try and engage, but we are so much stronger at this point.
Seems like banning Fresh and Jax has worked out quite nicely for SK Gaming here. And
well, again, and we have to look at the champions from Roccat here. They're picking a composition with absolutely no engage and also weaker in team fights, so they made it very hard for themselves once they actually fell behind early on.
Oh, and they might be falling further behind. Candy Panda chasing in towards Overpow. There's Svenskeren, who's going to chase straight on through. And it's nRated that's actually going to be looking for the kill. No, Svenskeren got it in the end there. That puts them 13-8 up on kills. 60 seconds spawn time for Overpow. They lose the massive damage that comes from his spears. Yeah, they can finish the game right here.
At least they can try to. The minions in the mid lane and the bottom lane is a bit far away though. They need some time before they join in with the base, so they don't have any minions, but they're still going for this turret.
Getting towards Celaver. That's a good culling coming out from him though. Doing good damage on towards Svenskeren. Wild growth used onto Jankos there. That was not, I think, what they really wanted to do. I thought he was going to jump straight in there or be close and knock people up. In the end, that didn't happen. Still 30 seconds as well until Overpow respawns. They're just waiting for that minion wave to actually come down. I think Freddy could probably just tank it up at this stage though.
He could just tank it up. Just playing it safe though, actually waiting for the minions to come here. Can the minions well? Now they're going!
Candy Panda gonna go low, but there's a crescendo coming across from them. It's Celaver that's a focus there at the front. Svenskeren gonna finish him off, and this is just a whitewash of kills coming through. Panda tries to get back to Fountain, manages it as well. They didn't even pop Svenskeren's Guardian Angel. Candy Panda didn't have his taken down either, and there's super minions all over the base right now. They focus straight down to those Nexus turrets. There's going to be a last chance saloon here for Roccat to defend. They won't manage it. SK Gaming bring it back 1-1.
Very, very strong performance and some very good champions picked up here. They fixed the issues they had in the champ select from game 1. They banned away the Jax, banned away the Thresh here, and it was a lot easier for them to play in the early game, at least also for SK.
Jax and Thresh, which we saw yesterday in those games against Gambit, in both games. I wonder if SK would have been in. Possibly have won the game even by now if they were banned. No, it's all ifs and buts. We should talk about the composition that they did get that last time around though. As you said, no real engage in there whatsoever. I think a combo for an engage is something that you never really want to rely on, right?
Well, definitely not. You would have to invest your ultimate from Lulu, even though Jankos, if he dropped low or not, it wouldn't matter. It meant at least when Jesiz would jump to a target, they wouldn't have the ultimate to this target because Jankos needed it for doing the engage itself, to knock someone up. And even just the knock up, it's very hard to have this as your only engage. And it was the only engage. So I think Roccat, looking back at this game, is going to be very mad at himself, especially also for the whole thing they did early game, where trading the lane swap top turret for the first spot in mid lane, and then never really recovered from there. And the fact that Xaxus got lane swapped on Lulu, he never got to be the bully in the lane like 1v1 against Freddy. So Freddy always got the farm he needed, and it meant that Freddy could always split push. Like he could always just stay up there and farm. Lulu could never really shut him down, and then the whole comp from Roccat just fell apart because they needed to win the early game to get to the point where they could stand in front of turret, land spears, Lucian of course poking towards the turret, poking towards whoever is there from SK's side, and then with Lulu and Kale as their, if you engage onto us, we got these two great ultimates to stop you and we can kite you around. That was the whole idea. So if they got hit early on, fine, but it was so risky because as soon as they fell behind, then SK were just better in split push. And SK was just a lot better in team fights with their champions.
And you have to wonder, I mean, the way to even up that whole 3-man fast tower push is to do exactly the same on your side of the map, especially when you've got the numbers in the bottom lane on the towers that go down faster.
And also, when your top laner already moved all the way down to the bottom lane and your junglers there, you could move them down, get to the turret, pretty much the same time as SK were being at the turret, but instead they decided to freeze the bottom lane and then went for the gang in mid lane. So the decision itself, they could actually push the 4 members up. There was only 3 members of SK in the top lane because Freddy was jungling. I believe he was doing the wolf camp.
Yeah.
So they could have pushed very fast up and gotten 2 turrets here. Trade 2 turrets for 2 turrets and say, that's it, we're fine, we're happy with this. Instead, they put themselves in the disadvantage.
What do we think then for Game 3? What has to change here? I don't see them banning anything except Thresh and Jax once again. But what do you think Roccat really need to do? Is it a complete overhaul of the team that they picked there?
Well, at least if they do pick a lineup like this again that needs to win the early game, then they have to make sure they do the 2v1 absolutely perfect. Or they need to force 2v2 and 1v1. If they pick Lulu top lane again as the lane bully, they need to make sure to actually go inside the jungle of SK Gaming with a ward before the 2-minute mark, place it down, spot out where SK Gaming is, so they can predict the swaps here. And if SK swaps up top lane with their dual lane, they do the same thing. So they get Xaxus against Freddy on this Lulu, if they pick the same comp at least. I don't expect him to pick the same thing here, especially also now with SK being first pick. We might actually see Roccat banning away the Jax.
Well, we're going to find out in just a few minutes what happens in game number 3 and who will move through to the final to take on Fnatic. But for now, we're going to send it over to Shox and Demon, who are ready to talk to Kevin.